Hello, year 3 again. It's Mr. Dice here. Well, time has flown, hasn't it? It's really lovely to see you. And I'm going to be working with you for 4 sessions like I did before. And this time we're going to concentrate on something called collage. And collage basically means using materials, either paper or fabric. We're going to use paper to start off with. And we're going to cut that out and stick it on. So it's probably a fancy name for cutting and sticking. But we're going to start off with a really lovely thing to do. We're going to start off with an image called Highways and Byways by an artist called Paul Clay. And we're going to, first of all, we're going to practice our colour mixing. And then we're going to have a go at preparing the sheets that we're going to next week cut up and stick in the correct sort of order as far as we can see. So without further ado, as usual, I'll show you what we do, starting off with our little warm-up and reminder of colour mixing. So this is the image that we're going to use to make our collage, and this is a painting by an artist called Paul Clay, a Swiss artist, and it's called Highways and Byways. And if I take you in a little bit closer, you can see that through the main area here, from the bottom through to the top, there's one area that stands out, and that's what we call the highway, and that's the main road that runs through this picture that takes us, if we carry along the road, right into the sky at the top. So if we come back out again, there we've got the main road, which is the highway, and all of these little areas here are little road systems or field systems, which are the byways. So we're going to, as I say, use this as a basis for the work that we're going to do. You can see that it takes us through from the bottom of the picture through to the top of the picture, and we've got lots of different colours. We've got oranges and blues and greens, lighter colours, and some little bits of purple. And then each little section is made up of a sort of a rectangle. Has got little bits on that make it going from plain to something a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. It looks quite difficult, but we're going to make it really easy for you. So I just want you to take a look for another 10 seconds by yourself and just get fixed in your mind what we're sort of aiming at. Okay, now you've had a practice with using the brushes properly so that you get a nice thick line with your brush, and we practice the colour mixing. We're now going to create a page down here of colour mixing that we're going to use next week to do when it's dry, to do the cutting out. So always plenty of water on your brush, and we're going to start off at the top by using the blue. So I'm going to start off at the top of my piece of paper, and I'm just going to come across just by putting pressure on onto that brush, and I'm going to come across a couple of times like so. Now I'm going to put a tiny little bit of water on my brush again, more into the blue, and I'm going to do a second line that comes down underneath, and I'm just going to slightly overlap those. Now I'm going to wash my brush, put it in the red. So now I've got red paint on here, so if I add it to the blue, I'm going to get not red or blue, but I'm going to get a sort of a purpley colour. And now, because this is going to be the top part of our picture, is going to be the sky that we're working towards. And I'm going to put some blue. So actually what I'm doing, I'm mixing as I go through. Now here I've got a little gap at the top, so I'm going to just put some purple red on my brush and mix that in through there. I'm going to put some water. I'm just going to mix that in so it mixes on the paper. Don't worry if it's all gone in together. Don't brush it too much, otherwise you'll get into a bit of a muddle with it. I'm just going to finish off with a little bit of blue down at the bottom. So that here, if I show you now, will be the top of your paper, and so that's going to be the sky that the road is going to lead up to. We don't really need to do any cutting with that because that's going to be at the top. Now we're going to work down the paper with our colour mixing. So we're going to go for our blue again. So we're going to have an area of blue. Now it's really important now that we wash our brush carefully, because we're going to get a lighter colour, which is going to be the yellow. So I've got the yellow on my brush, and I'm going to brush the yellow in and overlap it with the blue, which is going to give me a yellowy bottom and a blue top, and where it meets we've got a greeny colour coming. You can see the greeny colour there. And I'm just going to add a little bit more yellow, because to the yellow I'm going to add the red. We'll try and get this quite close to the edge of the paper. So now wash the yellow from my brush. I'm going to dip it in the red paint, so I've got red on my brush, and I'm going to go over there, so I've got red, and where the red and the yellow meet I've got orange. This doesn't have to be exact. I'm going to go back to my red again, water, red. Now you can see the difference between the red and the orange. So that's going to come through. A little bit more red. And then I'm going to put the blue. So I've got blue on my brush now. I'm going to put the blue underneath the red. And then I'm going to put a little bit more blue on my brush. There it is. And bring that blue up so that becomes a purple. Wash. And all we're going to do now is to work down this page. So blue, it doesn't really matter if it goes slightly wrong. What you don't need to do is to overbrush everything, because otherwise you'll get a very muddy colour rather than the complementary colour, the secondary colour that we need. So here comes my yellow. So I'm just repeating the pattern. But if you make a mistake or you do the wrong colour at any time, it doesn't really matter. It just means that yours is slightly different from everybody else's, and that won't matter in the slightest. So now make sure I wash that brush carefully, because this is beginning. There, that's a better yellow. And there's my yellow. And on that yellow I'm going to add the red. I'm going to do this a little bit more quickly now, because I think you're getting the hang of it. So there's my red, and underneath the red, to create the purple, is going to be the blue. And again, just to tidy that up, I'm going to get more blue on my brush and put the blue down through here. I've got room for one more go at it, I think, but it doesn't matter if you don't fit them in. That's quite a nice colour I've got there. That's a nice little colour mixed one. So blue. Really give my brush a good go here. Here's the yellow. Did you notice I'm not, like we did in our practice, I'm not putting the yellow straight on. I'm going to do the yellow first of all, and then bring it up and blend it to the blue. And likewise with the red, I don't need to wash my brush quite so well with this one. So here comes the red. And then I'm just going to take that red slightly up onto the yellow. Bit more red to make that redder. I'm going to take the red right down to the bottom of my paper, and I'm going to add the final blue. So there's the blue, And that's all we're going to do. Bring that blue up so it creates a little bit of purple. Back down, add a bit more blue down here so we've got a thicker blue. Now don't worry if, like me, you've got areas that you haven't filled in with your brush. Don't worry, because we're going to use crayons as well next week to add to these. So your picture, well, it's not really a picture, it's a pattern at the moment, isn't it, of colour mixing, ranging from the blues at the sky down through to the different areas that we've got through here. Now, the reason we're doing this is when that dries, you'll get, because it's watercolour, you'll get a slightly different colour. And we're going to use card, and we're going to cut up our little areas, and we're going to stick those on to make a varied pattern. Let's see if I've got that one. Yep, that one will go there. I'm not sticking these at the moment because I'll show you how to do that next week. There we go. So by cutting up, and I'll show you how to do that next week, we're going to create this highways and byways picture. Okay, I will see you at class next after you've watched the video, and I'll join you to see the lovely work that you've done. Bye. Okay, here we go. We're just going to start off with this little warm-up activity by using the watercolours and the brushes. And we're going to be doing this because later on we're going to be painting with watercolour and mixing colours to enable us to next week cut all those up to create our collage, our cutting and sticking. So I'm going to be using a brush like so, and I've had it in the water so it's wet already, so I'm going to dip it in the water. I'm going to start off with the blues, so I'm going to put some watercolour on my brush, put that down, and I'm going to make a mark on the paper. Now when I make the mark on the paper, if I put my brush down and I push the brush into the paper and move it along, keeping pressure on that brush, I'm going to turn the brush over now. I'm going to more paint on that side now. I'm going to put it down again. I'm going to push it out so that the bristles push out and allow the paint to flow from them. So I've got two nice colours there. I can also practice now because I've got a thin edge to the brush. I can use that thin edge just very gently and lightly and make those marks. So just have a go at, I'll put it in the water again, put some more paint on my brush. I'm going to put it down on the paper, make sure that the bristles spread out, keep the pressure on and paint. So pressure, paint, turn over, pressure, paint, and then I'm going to use the side of the brush, the thin edge, and just very gently, I'm not putting too much pressure on this time, I'm just very gently doing that. So if you can have a go at that, that's the first activity that we need to do. And teachers can pause and just let you carry on and do that. The next thing we're going to look at is just using primary colours. So I'm going to do a blue, and I'm going to do a blue that comes down the paper like so. So again, I've got water into the colour onto the paper. So each time I do it, watercolour, paper, and I'm going to push out those bristles. So I've got a nice one. I'm going to wash my brush now. I'm going to squirt it around and wipe it on the side, and I'm going to start my next one, which is going to be the yellow. So I'm going to put down here, I've got blue, yellow into the water. Wash, wash, wash. You can hear me squishing that around. Dry it on the side, and then I'm going to get green. Sorry, I'm not going to get green. I'm not going to get green at all. I'm going to get red. Here's my red. Just dip that in again, and the red's going to come here. So I've got blue, yellow, red. It's quite good. You can practice going across, washing each time so you get clear non-mixed colours, because in a moment we're going to mix the colours. Blue, wash, yellow. Oh, I didn't wash my brush quite carefully enough then. And red again. Now, once you've mastered that little art, the next thing, and you can take time doing that, that's fine. I don't want you to rush you on. I want you to have a practice with that, making those marks on the paper. Now, what we are going to do is we're going to take the blue colour, and we're going to start off with the blue, because these are what are called primary colours. And we're going to mix them to make secondary or complementary colours. So I'm going to do a line here. I'm going across this time, and I'm going to do blue to here, and then I'm going to wash my brush off again. Wash it really carefully this time, because I don't want too much on the yellow. Now, what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to take this mark from here, and I'm going to come across the bit of the blue that I've already done. But I want to start, so I'll turn my paper around. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to move down. So I'm going to start here, so I've got pure yellow. And then as I move it here, I'm going to move it across like so, and I'll just mix those colours in on the middle bit. So you should see that I've got the blue, the yellow, and the two have mixed in to give me the green. Now if I take my brush, clean it off again, I'm going to get the red this time, and I'm going to take the red from here. So I'm going to keep it red here, and then I'm going to come across, and I'm going to go in halfway onto the yellow, and that's going to mix in like so. So we should have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and I'm just going to finish off by going back to my original blue, and I'm going to mix it into that red. And can you see all the time I'm coming from a clean part of white paper onto the colour rather than from the colour off of it. That way I get a clean blue, a clean red, a clean yellow, a clean blue. But I've also got a mix here where the blue's mixed with the red, I've got a purple colour. Where the red's mixed with the yellow, I've got an orange colour. And where the blue is mixed with the yellow here, I've got a green colour. So I'll just quickly show you that again, and making sure my brush is washed carefully. I'll start this way this time. So blue, like so. Wash the brush, water, colour. I'm going to go back this way, so I'm not going to come across the blue, I'm going to go from here. So the red's going to come here and then cross the blue. I'm not going to take that back onto the other red. So I've got the blue, the purple, the red. Really got to wash my brush now well, because I want the yellow to come here, and I'm going to go from yellow to the red. Where the yellow and red mix, I'm going to get the orange. Last one, and then I've got my blue, which is going to come from here onto the yellow, and that's going to mix the yellow and the blue together, are going to give me the green. So we've got blue, green, yellow, orange, red, purple, blue. So from those three colours we've now got an extra three. We've got the purple, the orange and the green. And you just practice as much as you want. You can fill up that whole page if you want to, and then we'll be ready to go. So just have some fun with that, and then I'll show you the next phase, and I'm going to use that opportunity to go and clean my water out, which is quite an important thing to do with this. So I'll leave you there.